be back with you again. I don't know if it's intentional or not, but how is it that Kim chooses me to be here on sleep-deprived Sunday? So you're going to get a sleep-deprived sermon this morning. That means I usually drift a little bit. I've already given Doug permission to use the hook as necessary. The more tired I get, the more I talk. So we'll have to see if the hook will be required this morning or not. Have you ever noticed that sometimes words will change their meaning over time? What a word meant in one particular generation, as time and culture and language changes and morphs over time, sometimes that word will come up with a brand new meaning later on. And as we listen to it, we have to try and figure out either the context of the word or of the speaker to be able to try and find out what is it exactly that one means when they use that particular word. Well, Isaac Watts was a hymn writer. He wrote over 800 hymns. Over 20 of them are in our old red hymn book. He wrote such ones as Joy to the World, Jesus Shall Reign Where'er the Sun, and When I Survey the Wondrous Cross. But he had a lesser known hymn that I might recommend to our worship team, I'm not sure. But the opening line of the hymn is, "Blessed is the man whose bowels move." Now, as an aging male myself, I can thoroughly relate to that hymn. In fact, just this morning, no, that's too much information. Let's not go there. Blessed is the man whose bowels move. Well, in Isaac Watts' day, the bowels were your innermost sense of self, your source of your heart or your compassion. And so when he wrote the hymn, here's what he actually wrote. Blessed is the man whose bowel moves and melts with pity for the poor, whose soul by sympathizing love feels what his fellow saints endure. So he was talking about empathy. Is that what you think of when you hear that your bowels move? Probably not in this generation. Well, there are other words, I think, that have changed their meaning over time. One is the word awesome. Now, in my age and generation where I was growing up, the classical meaning of the word awesome is that it actually fills you with a sense of awe, a sense of wonder, a sense of the transcendent. But in this generation, the word awesome, often spelled A-W-W-W-W-W-W-W-W-W-E-S-O-M-E, pronounced awesome. It has a completely different meaning altogether. It has something to do with excitement, with newness, freshness. The word awesome would be used of a rock concert, perhaps, or it might be used as a ride at Canada's Wonderland. It was awesome. Well, every time somebody uses the word, we have to figure out who is the speaker, where are they coming from, and what does it have to do with us? As we journey through Lent, as you know, we are doing a series on the Lord's Prayer. Last week, Ken and Kim began our series, and he began to talk about our Father in heaven. And he was talking about the sense of the closeness of God, close like a parental relationship. Now, I don't know what kind of relationship you had with your parents or with your father. It might have been wonderful, might have been less than. But here, Jesus talks about us having a sense of the closeness, of the presence, of the sense of community and the compassion and the comfort that God offers, even as a parent would offer. And then we move right into the next phrase, which is, hallowed be thy name. It is, in a sense, telling us that our God is indeed an awesome God. Awesome in both sense of the word, both the classical and the contemporary, that we serve an awesome God. Well, it is indeed important that we remember not just the closeness of God, but also the awesomeness of God. In theological terms, it is trying to outline a paradox. The theological paradox is of both the immanence and the transcendence of God. That God can be so close to us that we can call him, as Ken and Kim said last week, we can refer to God as Daddy. And we have a sense of God as being so different from us, so other than us, the creator of the heavens and the earth. Not Daddy, but that awesome God of being the one that we come and approach with a sense of trembling. Have you ever met a person in your life that you would consider to be an awesome person? Now, I've lived a pretty sheltered life. I don't get out much. And so I've never met anybody that I would truly call an awesome person. But if I could in a magical way create a time in which you would have lunch with an awesome person, I wonder who that might be. Would it be someone from politics? A premier, a prime minister, a president, a member of royalty? Would it be an entertainment figure? A movie star, a rock star? Would it be someone from science, perhaps? A researcher that is working on a cure for cancer or Alzheimer's or AIDS? Would it be a sports personality, a hockey star, a baseball player? Would it be a religious figure, someone who has been inspiring? Who would you choose if I could give you this lovely lunch? Just you and this other individual to sit down with for an hour. Okay, let's play it out. What the heck? So this side, pick a category. I need either science or literature or arts or sports or religion. Pick a category of who we're going to have lunch with. Entertainment. Okay, this side. Who is the entertainer that we are going to have lunch with for an hour? Lady Gaga. Okay, there we are. So, in a magical way, I am going to arrange for you to have lunch with Lady Gaga alone, except for all of her entourage of Secret Service and security people and everybody else, just you and Lady Gaga, okay? So, first of all, who are you going to tell that you are going to have lunch on Wednesday with Lady Gaga? No, nobody, I heard that. Are you saying Lady Gaga is not awesome? And that you would not want to have lunch with her? So probably, if you were going to have a private little lunch with this person, you would want to tell everybody what you're doing on Wednesday. Okay, fair enough. So what are you going to wear? And how much time are you going to think about what you're going to wear when you meet Lady Gaga for lunch? Now, you don't want to be overpowering. You don't want to outshine her. You probably won't. But you think about what you're going to wear, What is going to be your opening line when you meet her? You have to think about this. What? Would you like a ticket for Italian night? So probably when you actually meet her and recognize this is one whose name is known world over, and young people around the world would give their eye teeth to have this experience that you are currently having, you would probably stick out your hand and say something like, "Oh, is this winter ever going to end?" You have no idea what to say. And so we would just kind of sit there and wonder what we would say. If we could get tongue-tied and maybe a little bit intimidated by meeting someone of this stature, what's it like to meet God? Awesome. Exactly. It is awesome to meet God. And let me tell you, I'll bet after we meet Lady Gaga for lunch, she does not go home and tell all of her family and friends, "Guess who I met for lunch today? I met Brenda Hallett. I need to tell you that I met Brenda Hallett for lunch today." Is Lady Gaga going to do that? Yeah. Perhaps not. It might not be as memorable for her as it was for Brenda Hallett. Well, we try and meet God. What is it that we would say if we actually see God face to face? In the words of the hymn, the worship song that we have done here, and they were just talking about the movie earlier called "I Can Only Imagine," I think the words of this author are so appropriate. Let me read them to you. He says, "I can only imagine what my eyes would see when your face is before me. I can only imagine. I can only imagine. Surrounded by your glory, what will my heart feel? Will I dance for you, Jesus, or in awe of you be still? Will I stand in your presence? To my knees will I fall? Will I sing hallelujah? Will I be able to speak at all? I can only imagine. I can only imagine." That is the God, the awesome God that we talk about. Rudolf Otto, a German theologian, spoke about the holy. And he said, there is a sense in which, when it comes to the holy, we feel drawn almost like a magnet to be drawn into that presence. And we are also terrified to enter into that presence. And Otto said, when you have that experience of being both drawn and terrified, you know you are standing on holy ground. That's what it's like to be in the presence of an awesome God. Well, does that mean that we shy away from God? That we become indeed speechless and have absolutely nothing to say? Well, I would put that alongside with a verse from the 4th chapter of the book of Hebrews. Hebrews 4:14 to 16, where it says, "Therefore, since we have a great high priest who has ascended into heaven, Jesus, the Son of God, let us hold firm to the faith we profess. For we do not have a high priest who is unable to empathize with our weaknesses, but we have one who has been tempted in every way, just as we are, and yet did not sin. And so he concludes, let us then approach God's throne of grace with confidence, so that we may receive mercy and find grace to help us in our time of need. We approach the throne with confidence, knowing that the God of heaven and earth is there to have lunch with us. And you know what? I bet after that lunch, God will tell all of the angels in heaven, you wouldn't believe who I had lunch with today. And he will call you by name. That is the God we serve. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Amen.